Hi guys, it's Lynn here. Hope you're having an amazing day. Now this is just a little bit of a quick video just to talk about when it's time to stop watering your cacti and succulent plants ready for their overwintering. Now it's the middle of September now and I thought I'd do a bit of a quick video here to talk to you about it. Now I have made a video already on when to know when to stop watering your cacti and succulents, so please do check that video out because I've had a lot of new subscribers since I originally made that video and you may not have seen it, but I do talk a lot more detail in there and I don't want to repeat myself in this video, so do check that video out there. Links will be up above. Open it up into a new window and watch that video after this one. I'm just in the process now, as I say, it's the middle of September. I think it's the 22nd or 23rd, something like that anyway. But or it's the 21st. I'm lost that this year's flown, but I'm actually stopping watering my cacti and succulents for the last time. And the reason why I'm doing this is because although we're having some very, very good sunny weather at the moment, it's been very lovely the past week, believe it or not, they do need plenty of time to dry out before the winter kicks in, because this weather here, we're in the northern hemisphere in Ireland. In Northern Ireland it could be warm one minute and then icy cold the next, so I have to be prepared that next week could be a lot colder. And the plants that are in the very big pots like this here, and sort of these in the large pots, I've stopped watering now completely. I won't be giving them any more water. And the majority of all the cacti here, I've stopped watering. So if you have desert type of cacti and you have them out in a greenhouse or polytunnel, I would recommend don't give them any water now, even if the weather is pretty good, because the days are getting shorter and it's good the soil will dry out in plenty of time, because damp soil, even if it's damp, it might feel dry at the top but it could be damp at the very bottom, can cause fungus and root rot over the winter when the plants are resting. But I explain a lot more in when to know how to stop watering your cacti. Now, if you happen to overwinter them indoors and you've got them by radiators and things, it's a completely different thing. But that's another video I've already made on how to overwinter your cacti and succulents. So please do, guys, check that video out. If you're new to this hobby and you've not overwintered your plants before, it can depend on many, many different factors, where you're overwintering your plants, and obviously what country you live in and the temperature and many, many things. So please do check that video out. I made it a few years ago, but links up above to that video. The procedure is pretty much the same, but the most important thing is it's where you live in and the heat and temperature. In general, cacti and the majority of succulents do like a cool and dry winter rest period around the 5 Celsius, sort of 5 to 7 Celsius, 41 to 45 degree Fahrenheit. Some of the euphorbias and some of the other succulents and the pilocerius and other delicate type of cacti, like the mellow cacti, we bring into the house to overwinter because they need a minimum of 10. Some even need a minimum of 15 degree Celsius, about 50 degree Fahrenheit. So it really does depend on many things. So I talk a lot of detail in the overwintering video. So the reason why I'm talking about that is they do go together with stopping watering at this time of year. So do check that video out and check out the video I've already made on how to know when to stop watering your cacti and succulents. Links to both of them videos will be up above. And I'm actually, as I say, I'm in the polytunnel now, last watering of the year for the majority of my cacti here. As I say, I've already stopped watering the ones in the tall pots. Sorry, the tall cacti in the large pots and the round cacti here, all in these big pots. So they've got plenty of time, especially while we're having this good weather in September at the moment, to dry out. But some of the ones in the very small pots here, as you can see, I have a few little ones here that I'm going to give them one last watering. And it depends, as I say, on the size of the plants. If you have large pots with a lot of soil in, then stop watering completely now. In fact, even last week, if you were able to, but certainly stop watering now. Some of the smaller ones, you can definitely water. As you can see, that one is quite shriveled because we've had a few days of good weather. So I'm going to give that one last good watering. And some of the punchers as well, the ones in the little pots here, as you can see, these are ones I've grown from seed. I'm going to give these one last watering and then leave it. It's actually good for cacti to shrivel up during the winter because they're using their water reserves. It's what they do naturally in the desert. But bearing in mind, in the desert they wouldn't have the damp and humidity that we get in most of our northern hemisphere's country. And obviously these are the succulents. As you can see, I've given them a water. I did this earlier, so they've given one last watering. And a lot of the succulents are winter growers and they do continue to grow throughout the winter, and I still keep them dry, even though they're actively growing, because unless they were showing signs of being shriveled, they're fine, you know, they'll still flower and everything else. These have all been flowering here, as you can see. I've given all the aloes one last really good water. Some of the ones in the very tiny pots, I'll probably give a little bit of water throughout the winter to stop them shriveling. But that's it. It really does depend on the type of plant you have. So do check out the ID of your individual cactus and succulent if you do know it. And if you don't know what type of cactus and succulent you have, then there's a great website called Cactus Guide and a Succulent Guide, and there's great to help ID your plants on there. And I always say, if in doubt, do now. You're better to under rather than over watering. And here we have a lot of seedlings. We're going to be bringing these into the house under the grow lights, but we're going to be still keeping these lightly watered because they're still actively growing, as you know, with young plants. Now, epiphyllum plants such as these here, this is a ripsalis, and it's quite a cold sensitive one. As you can see, there's a lot of damage there where I've overwintered it before in my old conservatory, and it doesn't like the cold, so that has to be brought into the house at a minimum of 10. So it really is important you know your plants, guys. And here we have some young epiphyllums and some Schlumbergera. Because they're still young and they're rooting, we're going to be bringing them into the house as well, but they're going to be kept well watered still. Hylocereus we're going to be bringing into the house because they're not cold sensitive, so they're going to be, I sort of keep them still lightly watered slightly throughout the winter too. So that's really it, guys. If you have plants in very small pots, I'd give them one last good water, such as these. I'm working my way on these now. These are mainly Chamacereus and Camelobivia and Lobivias. And I'm going to be giving these one last water because they are in very small pots. They dry out very fast. So in a couple of days, these will all be dried out again, and they'll have filled themselves up with water to get themselves through the winter. But if you're really not sure whether you should be watering your plant or not at this time of year, you're better off not. That's how warm it's been in here, guys. That's actually bent. It was nearly over 100 the other day. This is September, so it has dried out very fast. So that's why I'm going to give them all one last good watering in time for the winter, which I dread. I hate the winter, guys. And stay tuned for a video probably coming up in about 2 or 3 weeks time, certainly no longer than a month, when we're going to be overwintering some of the plants. We're going to be taking plants out of the polytunnel here into some of the plants anyway, into the grow rooms in the house. Our house is just going to be completely packed like a jungle, even more so this year. And we've also got plants that we have out in the yard, into the other little greenhouses, into here, out here to overwinter. So it's going to be fun and games when we're doing all that, guys. But the majority of what you see here is going to be kept over the winter in this polytunnel. And we heat the polytunnel at a minimum of 5 degrees Celsius, about 41 degrees Fahrenheit. So the plants are kept cool and dry over the winter, and that helps them get through. And you know, every year it's natural to lose 1 or 2 plants, but we've been pretty good, I have to say. So hopefully it'll be the same this year. And that's it. But as I say, I tend to waffle on a little bit, so do check out the video where I talk a little bit more about how to know when to stop watering your cacti and succulents. And this has been a bit more of my waffle video vlog going on here, because I thought I'd talk about it, and just to let you know I have that video because I'm in the middle of giving all mine one last watering. So at this time of year, if in the northern hemisphere, then plants in big pots, depending on what type you've got, one last watering. One last watering, yep, and definitely the ones in the small pots. Do not give any water now from this time of year onwards. And as I say, it really does depend on where you're growing your plants. If you have them in the house, obviously they may need a bit of water over the winter. But check that out in my overwintering video. So guys, thank you so much for watching. If you want to know a little bit more on how to grow cacti and succulents, please do check out my website, desertplantsofavalon.com, and hover your mouse over the growing tips, and there'll be a drop down bar and different sections on how you can grow your cacti and succulents. And thank you all so much for your support, guys. I want to send you loads of love, heaps of happiness, and tons of cactus and succulent power from across the Emerald Isle. And until the next video,